What game has made me put my glasses on, which I don't do on camera very often, and what has got Kirsty to get her quills out?
Tickle, tickle, tickle.
Thanks. Find out in our review of Joan of Arc, Orleans, Draw and Write.
Ludus, Vulpes.
Welcome to Ludus Vulpes. My name's Kirsty.
I'm Phil, even with my Clark Kent disguise.
You join us as we run through Joan of Arc, Orleans, Draw and Write.
Yep, you heard us right. Right. Orleans has now got a roll and write away, a draw and write version. It's called Joan of Arc, and it's from DLP Games. And yeah, it's a bit like Orleans. For those who have played Orleans before, you'll be very familiar and very reminiscent of that game. You will be completing routes out from Orleans. You will be filling your warehouse full of goods, putting money in the bank and developing on your development track. You will need a quill because it is medieval Europe, and you will need a notepad we've got a notepad to put our little pads on, and you will need a set of cards and a set of tokens, and we'll be ready to go. So you join us towards
without any further
the
ado,
end of the game, actually. We've got 3 rounds left to play, and we'll show you all those 3 rounds, and we'll show you scoring at the end of the game. Unfortunately, the quills are going to go away for this because we're going to use Sharpies.
Make it easier for you to see at home.
They're the modern equivalent of quills, so that'll be fine. So very briefly, how does the game play? So on your turn, you're going to have a lead player, and that lead player will draw tokens from the bag.
Me.
And it is Kirsty's turn to draw tokens from the bag. Do you want to draw?
Yes,
and
I'll do this.
That person will draw 1 token per player plus 1. And each of those tokens is an action on a track. And you will, as lead player, get to take 2 of those actions, and everyone else around the table will only get to take 1. So take a token. You got your little action template at the top, which tells you what you can do with that token, and then you take the action associated with the token and mark it on your pad. And that's it. That's a turn done. Some of them lead to combos, and you can always take this little yellow monk guy, and so you can sacrifice a token, trade it in for a monk, cost you some points at the end of the game, but that allows you to take a wild action. Woohoo!
Crazy.
Yep, all kinds of wild happening there. And then the other one that's worthy of note is you can also collect these places, and the places, if they've got a little arrow, allow you to take an alternate action. If they've got this plus symbol, they allow you to take an additional benefit when you draw that particular token. And that's really, in essence, the game. So here is your little map where you can build trading posts and collect things as you claim on routes. You've got your little warehouse, you've got your bank, and you've got this sort of depot for overspill, and then your development track at the bottom that are going to be filled in. And basically your token completes a track, and you'll take benefits immediately. That's the game.
I was going to say, you'll note that on my sheet, I have created this barbed wire do not access area. And that's because the game is built for multiplayer play. So this section here is for 1 to 2 players. There's a section here which is for included if there's 3 players. And this section here at the bottom, just there, is for 4 and 5 players.
Yeah. So without any further ado, I think it's time for us to go into a demo round. We'll have a little explanation of what your token's doing as we take it. You've got 3 rounds to watch, and then we'll go through scoring. Kirsty, it is your first pick. So Kirsty's drawn these 3 tokens. This is the knight. This is the guy drowning.
Boatman.
And this is the fake Henry VIII token.
Yep. So the first one I'm going to take is the knight. As you can see, it matches one of my power cards here, which is 4 in a hand, which allows me to draw 2 roads.
Yeah, so Kirsty's going to take 2 overland routes with a knight. Typically, a knight can only take 1 overland route, so she'll get to pick. And as a knight completes a route, they'll also be able to take the goods associated with that route as well.
So I'll be building between 1 and 4 to give me a cheese. and a tick on my development track. And then I'll be building between 1 and 2 for a cheese and a wheat. Now,
that's like bread and cheese for anyone else.
yeah.
I'm going to take this little blue dude drowning.
Also known as the boatman.
Well, actually, he's not known as anything.
That's what I call him.
He's not known as anything in the rule book, so I'm calling him the blue guy drowning because he looks like he's just fallen in water. And I specifically want wool if I can get it, and I can on a route between 12 and 10. So I cross off wool here. Now I've completed a column. So I look at the bottom of that column and I get 4 bonus books.
Nice.
1,
Combo.
2, 3, 4. And that's on my development track. And I get to a citizen. Kirsty, can you cross off your citizen?
Which one is it, please?
This one just over here.
I'm nowhere near
You got the first one, I get the second one.
Seems fair.
And then Kirsty, as lead player, gets the last token.
Which is...
A fake Henry VIII.
Fake Henry VIII. Now, I am going to choose to sacrifice him and take it as a monk.
Okay.
So, in doing so, I am going to...
Cross off your monk.
Cross this off here.
Yep.
Like so. Then I'm going to choose which action is going to be the most beneficial for me. I need a wheat here. Not a wheat, sorry. What's it called? A cotton. But I could also do with building. So I believe I'm going to build.
Belief is a wonderful thing.
Yes. So with my power, so I'm going to use it as this. I'm going to gain a coin here, which gives me 4 points.
At the end of the game.
At the end of the game, which I'll just circle. Then I'm going to spend that coin to build. And I am going to build in number 2.
So what happens there is Kirsty builds in number 2. And because this board is kind of shared, I fill in number 2 because I can no longer build in that town. A trading post has been created. I can't copy that. So end of that turn. And we move to another 3 tokens. I am the lead player, so I'm going to be able to take 2 actions. There we go. And that's an interesting choice straight away. So I am probably going to take this knight and take a road. And the road I want leads there, I think. And that gives me a piece of cloth, which will give me 5 points at the end of the game.
Okay, I'm going to take a farmer. And using my meadow power here, it allows me to tick a box on my development track, and it allows me to tick off any good in my warehouse. When I tick off the cotton, I gain access to 4 books here.
4 more ticks on your development
track. So I get
track.
4 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, which gives me access to another good, of which I will take a cloak. And I've also got a shield here.
Which allows you to circle one of the shields in your depot.
So I will circle that to show I've accepted that one. And I've also taken that one. And then I will cover this in here.
So I'm going to take the last remaining scholar token. I have a power that allows me to take 2 books for 1 scholar. Which I am going to do. And we move into the last round. So what we've got in front of us here, by the way, is the holding area where all the tokens will hold before they go back into the bag.
We're having a Henry VIII, a carpenter,
and a man with a big stick. Sorry, knight.
Knight.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
So this holding area will fill, and you'll only refill the bag when the bag is empty. However, you will only empty the bag twice in a 2-player game. There's 1 empty bag for you.
Nice.
Sorry, Matt, that's your bag. I'll sort that out later.
Okay, so I am going to be brave and take the knight. And the knight, as we said earlier, allows me to draw 2 roads. Now I'm thinking of endgame scoring now when I'm completing this. So I'm going to go from the 1 slot to the 3 slot, which will give me a cloak, which has completed my row of cloaks there, which has given me 5 points at the end of the game. And then my other choice of road will be to take between 2 and I think that's 9 for 2 points at the end of the game for my cheese that I've just collected. So I've tried to maximise some points there at the end. I can't do any magic combos which are going to get me monk moves, I don't believe, this turn. So it was about endgame scoring for me.
Okay, so I'm going to take the carpenter. I'm going to put him there. I'm actually going to sacrifice him for a beneficial deed. And I will take this beneficial deed here, which gives me a coin, which gives me another citizen, and a good, which I will take that good, and it doesn't really matter, so I'll take it as cotton. And Kirsty has 1 token left to spend.
Yeah. Now, decisions. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm winning that one, aren't I?
Yeah.
So I don't need to worry too much about that. Just trying to figure out how to take it as which power. So I think I will take him as a... what do you call him? As a knight here. So I'll be crossing off 2 victory points here.
It's 2 victory points. It's not. Let's hope it's not the deciding factor in the game.
It will be now. You watch, it will be.
It'd be kind of cool though, wouldn't it?
No.
If the game was that close.
And then from that, I am going to take... I'm going to be 1 short, unfortunately, from being able to get these 5 rich points, unless there's a magic combo that anyone can see. So, 2 roads. And I'll take... at least it will get me to 4 stars. So I will go from 0 to 8, picking up a book and a wheat. And I will take the 1 to 10, which gives me a book
and a cotton.
It's a shame I didn't have that one, because it would have given me 5 points. So that there, and a book which has got me to 4 stars, which, to be honest, is probably the highest I've ever been on that track.
Yeah, I'm debating whether going to 5 stars would have been better for me. So this token comes back, and we then go into endgame scoring, which is really simple and straightforward. So we just follow this row across here. So we start by counting the number of buildings we've developed. 1, 2, 3, 4 for me. Kirsty's developed more, so she gets 1 citizen as well. So I get 4 buildings.
So again, that's citizen.
And I've got 2 citizens. And my multiplier is 4.
So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buildings.
Plus 2 citizens.
So 6 plus 1, 2.
So Kirsty's probably won this game.
So 6 plus 2 is 8. Times 4 stars is 32.
And I get 24 there. So, as stated, Kirsty's won the game.
Then
so I get 5 for my warehouse, because I've got 1 item in my warehouse.
I've got 5, 6, 7 here from the warehouse. So that makes it 39. I've got 4 points in my bank here, which is 43.
I've got 6 from my available monks.
4 points here, which makes it 47.
And I get 1 from my depot, which I think is
And
the
I
same
get
as
1
you.
there, which makes it, I think, 48.
I'm not sure.
That's
That
right.
sounds about right.
32 plus 7 is 39. Plus 4 is 43. Plus 4 is 47. 48 points at the end there.
And I get 36. So Kirsty wins, as always. Which is interesting.
Because I played a different strategy this time. So it's interesting to see.
Okay, so let's move into our thoughts on Joan of Arc, Orleans, Draw and Write. Kirsty, over to you first.
So this little beauty was one that our good friend Matthew picked up from Essence Spiel 2022. And it was I remember us all sitting around a table in the hotel trying to work through
No,
the rule book.
I was trying to work through the
Phil
rule
was
book.
trying to work through the rule book. Matt and I were drinking and having fun. And yeah, once you get your head around the rule book and we're actually looking at the sheet.
Let me.
Okay, you clarify this.
Let
then
me
I'll
talk about
about
this.
Yeah.
This is awful. It might be one of the worst rule books for a simple game I have ever had to struggle through. There are things missing. So in the rule book, these are the only 2 tokens, our knight and our scholar. They're actually referenced under those titles. Otherwise, you just need to know Orleans. So that's not helpful because then they refer to different types of moves. I believe it's probably generally a translation challenge rather than a poor rulebook, but it makes reading and learning this game incredibly difficult. And once you know the game, it's fine because the iconography works. But this is a 3-read rulebook for a very simple game, and that is a barrier to access. It's a barrier to the game, and that is not cool because the game is better than that. It deserves a better rulebook in English.
Maybe you should rewrite it and then do a little
that's not my job. If they want to pay me to do it, they can.
So if this was your first experience of Orleans, then I worry with that in mind because you don't know what the moves are. Fortunately, I've played a few games of Orleans and it started to bring back memories. Bearing in mind, it's like, 2 years since I last played that game, probably. So it took a few games to trigger, the knight's the one that, fights through the roads and steals everyone's goods. The boatman is the one who steals the goods on the water. Henry VIII is the one who, if you give him money, he'll do you favours.
He might be an architect. Whatever.
There's lot, it comes back. But for those who don't know Orleans, this is a tough ask, I think, to learn on the first go.
It needs to be taught. Like, learning it from the rulebook is going to be hard if you've not played Orleans.
So,
being taught it, you'll learn it in 5 minutes. It's not that complicated a game.
So, for the sake of the video, we have used the cards that you can see here.
In fairness, the rulebook does say after your first game, use the cards.
Okay. Now, on the first game, we use this section of the board here, which is whereby you're crossing off the areas instead of taking the card. So, for example, where I've got the 4 in hand here, instead of taking that card, I would tick that off and everyone else would have crossed it through. So actually it makes it a nice, ideal travel size game if you don't want to be carrying all the cards.
True. The cards make it easy because you're not crossing things off. And they give a bit of variability at setup because there's 6 in each column available and you draw 4. Whereas these are the sort of the straightforward 4 in each
standards. Column. So you'll note also that Phil is wearing his glasses whilst we film today. And that's because these are so small. Everything on here is tiny. Like, I don't wear glasses and some of it I'm like, sorry, what's that?
Yeah, even like some of the iconography is so tiny that without my glasses I really can't play this game effectively. Not that I've won a game recently, so I'm not sure that's true either, but I can't play the game effectively. I can't even see the fact that this is a carpenter compared to this Henry VIII character without my glasses on.
The dull colouring isn't helping matters.
No, it doesn't
really.
pop.
And I know that's the theme of the game, but something may have been...
Okay, so I feel like we've bashed it a little bit.
Yeah, but no, I'd like to talk about the good points. And one thing is they could have really maybe slightly changed the map a bit to expand the size of other bits and pieces. So what I do like is that almost, hang on, I'm onto a winner here, feel when things just go right in this game. So where you cross off a coin and you get a monk move and you use that monk move to then get to 2 ticks on your development track that then gives you another monk. There's lots of like almost like just falling into place moves, and that creates a real nice feel good vibe for the player in this game.
It reminds me a little bit of a game we recently reviewed, which was Rise, which is bouncing from one track to another. There's more. The map gives a little bit of extra complexity, but it is fundamentally filling tracks in. This game, it's just dressed up in a very different way. And as a travel game, I think that's quite nice. It's a big notepad. It really is.
But it needs to be for this size. It's worth noting that on the back there is You probably can't see it because of all the
I'll do it
marking.
because I haven't quite destroyed mine. And actually, this is also
Solo
1 and 2
player.
player side, and I hadn't quite realised. And this is another like failing within the rule book. So on a 3-player game, you use all 5 of these. These are called Gracious Deeds, but this one is 3+ players only. So actually, this is a 1 and 2 player side of the board.
Yes.
But the rulebook doesn't make that clear. So it's just another. Sorry, I wasn't going to bash this game anymore. But the rulebook is really painful, honestly. Now, as a plus, if you've played Orleans and you love Orleans, and you're like, how can I get a quicker game of Orleans in?
Yeah.
This is going to give you a lot of the feel of Orleans, but for a significantly smaller time investment. So could be a really great option if you like Orleans, but due to player downtime, you don't get to the table often.
Yeah. So it's one thing to worth note is we put them in this container so that you could see, because some of the colours are too dark to have seen on the table.
Blend in a little bit. But
so just that doesn't come with the game, obviously. Yeah, I think it's a much easier setup of the game, and especially if you don't use the cards, you've literally just got, right, there's a bag of tokens, let's play. And that, there's not many games that you can go, right, pull a bag out of the thing and we're just playing instantly. So that is a real good for this game, I think. It definitely channels all the themes of Orleans.
All the feel of Orleans as well.
Yeah, all the feel. It's basically, how can we take Orleans and simplify it so it's a much quicker, less table hog game? And that's exactly what they've done here. Draw and write, because you draw from the bag. Although I tend to draw and colour in. You tend to, just draw the lines.
So, I mean, overall, Joan of Arc, Orleans Draw and Write, I think is a great alternative for Orleans.
Yes.
If you like Orleans, the base game, getting this is not a problem. It will sit nicely alongside it and give you the opportunity to play at a smaller, time footprint. I think if you're just looking for a game that pushes draws tokens and pushes them along tracks, and you don't mind about table space, something like Rise gives a bit more interest, I think. But overall, if you like Orleans or you like this type of bag drawing element, Joan of Arc, Orleans Draw and Write is absolutely a fantastic game. It will not disappoint you, and I think it's worth you picking it up.
Yeah. The art's a bit lacklustre, but the art...
And Orleans is a little lacklustre as well.
It definitely reflects the full vibe of the original game, and if you've got the artwork, why not use it?
Yeah, exactly. So, if you found this video useful, please like and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we really do appreciate every single one of you subscribers, and every little thumbs up, every comment means the world to us. So feel free to comment. If you might disagree, you might think the artwork's good, you might think actually this is the best thing that's landed from Essen 2022. Tell us if that's the way you feel. If you've played it, what are your experiences? Don't forget, we're also on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. All you need to do is search Ludus Vulpes.
Thank you for your time today.
Thanks everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, intro video.
Quills at the ready! I don't know how to do it.
I'll do it.
Okay, I'll just...